Hey, today we have the privilege of having our friend Erik James from Active Bodies on with us to talk about some tips for staying fit while you're working from home. Erik, thanks for being here today.
Hi guys, I'm happy to
Hi.
be here. Thanks.
No, we really appreciate you taking the time because we know with all the changes you've had to adapt to, and we'll get into that. But we do have some questions for you because working from home is different than going out and going to the office every day and moving around. So Can you give us a few fitness tips for people who are sitting behind a desk all day long?
Number one thing is posture. Sit up tall, and I have my stability ball here, and I highly recommend that anybody who's going to be sitting at a desk all day use a stability ball because it's going to force you to maintain good posture. You're not just going to lean over, you're not going to lean back. Keep your spine upright. Always think of a string being pulled up through your spine so that you're staying up nice and tall. That'll help ease and minimize some of the stress that you get in your neck and shoulders, which then leads it to a couple of stretches that people can do where you can take your hand and literally go just behind your ear and pull this way here. There's another stretch that you can do where you actually lift up and then rotate. So I'll show you from here where you lift up and then rotate, and you'll feel a stretch coming down through here. Now, if you want to enhance that stretch, you can use the edge of your desk. Hopefully I stay in the view here. You can put your hand here or at the end, and you can do both stretches. You stay up tall, lift your chin, rotate, and you'll feel a stretch here. Then you can take behind your head and pull this way gently, and you'll get a stretch a little more in the rear part. Because for me, when I sit at my desk, those are the areas that I get hit the hardest when I'm sitting at my computer and I've got my shoulders up and I've got these muscles flexed the whole time.
Right.
They need to relax, they need to stretch, which then leads into my next tip, which is get up. Just get up, move around. And as we were talking about before we started this, how you get into a conference call and you just have conference call after a conference call, and then you've got something, a document that you have to work on, set a timer. This is what I always advise people who are working at their desk all day long. Set a timer, abide by that timer, even if you're on a conference call, and if you can, if you got a laptop or you're using your phone, walk around. Otherwise, as soon as you're done with that conference call, you have to have something that tells you, reminds you, get up, get moving, so that you're not just sitting down the whole time, because research shows that even though you exercise 30 minutes a day, it will not offset sitting in a chair for 8, 10, 12 hours. It won't do anything to kind of help your health and wellness. Another stretch or another tip that I have is we get carpal tunnel, we get tight forearms, front and back. Use a tennis ball. And what you can do is you can just press in back and forth, rolling back and forth with the ball, and then you can do it on the back side as well. You can use, there are a couple of different items. If you have dumbbells, don't use it on your desk, but somewhere where you can go back and forth and make sure you get the top and the bottom of the forearm to kind of loosen up all these muscles, because as you're sitting at your desk and you're typing, these muscles that move the fingers, they reach up and they will fatigue. And that tends to lead to the carpal tunnel syndrome that you have in your wrist. You got to get a way to work that out. And then a good stretch afterwards is to pull back this way. You can enhance it by pulling down below. And then of course, you want to stretch the top part. Make sure this elbow joint is straight as you do this stretch. And do it gently, because you don't want to damage the wrist, but you want to stretch the muscle. Sure. Trust me, they're going to be tight enough that you're going to feel it. And then the most important tip that I could give is, besides standing up, you want to try and stretch out the muscles around your pelvis. Most importantly, the hip flexors. These muscles here, you want to lean your upper body back. You want to squeeze your glutes and you want to stretch out this muscle here, because these muscles that attach into this hip actually attach to the anterior portion of your low spine, your lumbar spine. All those backaches that you get, you're sitting in a seated position. Those muscles are weakening and they're shortening because of how long you're sitting for so long. So you want to get a stretch by taking this leg back and this leg forward and pressing your pelvis forward. You don't want to arch your spine. You just want to take your pelvis forward. You'll feel the glutes squeeze and you'll feel a stretch down here. Now, the more advanced way that I do it is I go down onto a knee, and I'll show you real quick here, because I'll adjust this screen here so that you can see that I'll be down on one knee, and you have the hip over the knee. This heel is in front of the other knee joint. All we're going to do is shift that weight. So now I've got this heel underneath the knee, this hip in front of the back knee. You feel stretch down here, and then you can enhance it by reaching up. That's the most important stretch that anybody can do that is sitting in an office all day long.
That's great.
Those are some tips that I can offer for people who are sitting at their desk all day long.
Cool. I think Bob had a question for you.
Hey, Erik, Bob Nelson, Director of Communications with the Mesa Chamber of Commerce here. Hey, I had a question for you. Because traditionally everybody knows that, you know, we do the exercise for weight management and better shape, but what are some of the other like things that people wouldn't know are the benefits that they can get from a regular exercise routine?
The biggest one is stress release. Most underestimated benefit of exercise is release of stress. You don't have to be a power lifter, but anytime you're engaged in exercise and you get your heart rate up, you get an endorphin rush, and that changes how you feel. It will release the tension to a certain extent that you have all over your body. It really does change your mood. You always see the phrase, you're only one workout away from a good mood. That's the truth. And I hear it from every single one of my clients that I train, that there are days that they say, I'll be honest with you, I did not want to come in, but they know that I keep them accountable. I'm going to text them. I'm going to call them. Hey, where are you? Why aren't you here? They don't want to hear that, so they do come in. And then when they're done, I always hear, man, I'm glad I did that. Almost every single time I'm hearing somebody say, boy, I'm glad I came in and did that workout, because you're literally one workout away from being in a good mood. Another one is a boost in energy. I've got some clients who come in the morning. Two of them are with us right now, Jen and Yvonne. And I always hear from my clients how much energy they have for several hours afterwards. It's up to the individual whether they want to work out in the morning or if they want to do an afternoon workout. Depends on your schedule, depends on your lifestyle. I know a lot of people are at home now, so they can pick and choose the time of day that they do it. But one thing you're definitely going to get from a workout is a boost in energy that'll last for several hours. I've heard as many as 4 or 5 hours after the workout that they have energy to just go, 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 go. One more underestimated benefit is joint mobility. The joints are a little more limber, depending on the exercise you're doing. And of course, with my clients, I always emphasize stretching after the workout. I've seen flexibility in my clients get better. And how does that benefit them? Well, less muscle rigidity, like I was saying, because of being in a seated position and having these muscles tight, because we focus on that flexibility, we make sure that the next time they do an exercise bout, they have limited risk of injury because of the flexibility. So a lot of people just don't take any of that into account. They just think it's all about the weight loss and the building of muscles. And exercise has so many more benefits. It's remarkable.
Very good. It looks like Mr. Lawson has a question for you. Keith, do you want to unmute?
Erik, with all this stress that everybody seems to be, me included, or especially me, I'm always so tense up in here, and I'm at a keyboard quite a bit.
Yeah.
Again, not just sitting at a desk, but the tensions in the neck and in the shoulders. Any good advice as to how to loosen that up?
Well, like I said earlier, a couple of the stretches where you're here, but believe it or not, if you do engage in a workout, a resistance workout, that will start to loosen up some of that stress and tension. I would also like to point out that as much as exercise will help to relieve that, sometimes a good massage will help. What I do also is I do some stretch therapy with my clients, and I do some foam roll. And again, this little guy here, this tennis ball, you have something like this, and if you have a knot and you can go up against the wall and press in, this tennis ball does wonders. But a good massage helps, but really doing the exercise, actually doing some exercise, and I can always show you some specific exercises to help you with that, Keith. We can talk afterwards, and I'll show you exercises that you can do to help relieve some of that tension that you have there. But make sure you do those stretches that I advised. Lift your head up, rotate, hold on to something down here so that you're getting that stretch in that area. Hold for about 10 to 15 seconds. Do it a couple of times. Give it a moment, do the other side, and go back and forth a few times and try and get that to loosen up. But really, doing the exercise, the resistance training, making those muscles actually squeeze, you'll actually squeeze out some of that what they're called free radicals from the stress. You'll start to get that into the lymph system and get it out of there. So you have to actually wring the sponge out, if you will, in order to kind of loosen that up.
Great. Hey, Erik, I know on social media, you've been offering some virtual classes for individuals and groups. Talk about the benefits of a format like that.
Well, right now, one of the most important ones is that it's going to comply with our social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen some news programs where they got some folks working out at the park. Our number one objective is to maintain our distance, right? So we can minimize the spread of coronavirus. Doing virtual workouts, there's no threat of that. One of the other benefits is that, you're less self-conscious when you're in a setting like this, because we have settings. I don't know if everybody in our room can see everybody else working, but sometimes you can't. That said, everybody's worried about themselves, and you're not so self-conscious when you're doing the workout because you're in a room by yourself. One of the other ones is exactly that. You've got me getting a visual, observing, seeing how you're doing. You're not working out by yourself, where some people don't know what to do by themselves, but you do have somebody like me who's accountable, keeping you accountable for your workouts. I'm also observing your form. And again, I've got two members with me now that would be happy to testify that I always correct. One of my big stipulations is that you must have good form. I am constantly adjusting, even visually. Unfortunately, I've got 20 years under my belt. I've gotten pretty good at being able to convey a message just through words. And sometimes if I have to, I will tell them to stop in the middle of the exercise. If I can't get them to correct, I will get them to stop the exercise, and we'll try and find a modification. But yeah,
Great. Doing
virtual has its benefits.
Awesome. Since you do have a couple of your clients on the call here with us, Yvonne, Jen, or should I say Councilwoman, either one of you have any input? You want to unmic and unmute yourselves and say anything?
I'll add on to the virtual workout. I didn't know about that whole thing. And well, like it's a good excuse not to go to the gym, right? But I'm much better for it when I do. I'm more energetic and more positive, all those things. And now that I've done it, I've learned some things that I can actually do for myself and even consider it, given that when the social distancing and travel restrictions are lifted, that maybe if he did hybrid classes, that, hey, even though I'm traveling, maybe I can get that workout, because I'm a person who's not very disciplined to do it by myself, but I'm disciplined enough to show up and with other people and attend a class. And then Erik will always correct me, because I'll find the easiest way to do that move, which is not always the best. He'll just say like that. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So then I'm doing it correctly, not only for my health, but getting the actual benefit of it instead of finding the shortcut way that does nothing for me. So I don't know. And doing it at home, we've played around with doing it outside on the deck, inside, wherever, varying our place that we do it. It makes it more fun.
Hey, like I was saying earlier today, I appreciate when you guys are on the deck, because for the rest of us, at least for me, that sunrise in the background, that is pretty nice to see.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Hey, we did have another question for you about just tips on sleeping.
Tips on sleeping.
Yeah. I mean, it all plays into your health, right?
Yeah. This goes also into what we were talking about just prior to starting this. How do you find that release? For all of you guys that are working at home, how do you disconnect? And in order to get the sleep that you need, you have to get your brain to relax instead of being on full-time work mode. You have to find some sort of activity, some little hobby that takes your mind off of it, and then recognize immediately when you're ready to fall asleep. Don't fight it. Make sure you're ready, you brush your teeth and done everything you need to do, and you go right to bed. Don't try and worry about anything else. Don't try and force yourself to go to sleep. Engage in an activity, something that takes your mind away from your work. Let your mind absorb that, and trust me, you will start to doze off. And of course, it all depends on your work schedule, your lifestyle. Not every day is going to work out that way, because if you had a late evening video conference, and it didn't end until 7:30, 8 o'clock, yet you have to be up 4:30 in the morning, there are going to be some days that it just doesn't work out. But on the other days, find something that takes your mind off of your work. Engage, do a crossword, read a book, watch a movie, do a puzzle, something along those lines to really kind of get your mind to calm down, so that you can get yourself ready for bed. Because sleep is probably just as important as the exercise, because your growth, your repair, everything for healing the body after the damage it's been through all day long, whether it's from stress related with work or mechanical stress related with exercise. Sleep is when the body heals. So you have to do what you need to do to clear your mind before you go to bed.
Awesome. Any other questions? No? So Erik, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they best get a hold of you?
We just made an update to our website. There are two ways to get there. It's activebodies.net. The more popular way is www.couchpotatousunite.com. That one tends to stick in people's heads. You can send an email, ejames@activebodies.net. I have limited access to my office, but the number here at the office is 480-926-8989. You can follow Active Bodies on Facebook and Instagram. We post right now some free workouts, because we know a lot of people don't have access to a gym. And some of those workouts, I've tried to incorporate just some things that you have at home, whether it's a backpack filled with canned goods or shopping bags filled with them. I showed in one of the videos, I showed that you can grab 2 chairs and a dowel and put it on the top of the chair and do pull-ups. There are some things that we put out there for everybody who does not have access to a gym, that you can, participate in some of these workouts for free. But if you want something a little more guided with some observation and some real-time feedback, well, we do offer the virtual classes, and you can go to couchpotatousunite.com to see what we have there, the link there.
I love that name. So you just rattled off about 7 different ways of getting a hold of you. So there's no excuse for people to not reach out.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for taking time to visit with us today and give us some tips. And when we hear people complaining about, their achy back from sitting at their desk all day, we'll make sure to refer them to your Couch Potatoes website. That's awesome.
It's my pleasure.
So
I'm
much.
happy to help.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.